In this video, we're going to talk about um, how we draw box plots. Some statistical packages or programs will actually be able to create these box plots for you. I'm going to just show you how we gather the information that is needed, what that can tell us, and then I'll actually draw one for you so you can kind of see what it looks like drawn by hand. So the 5 pieces of information we need, and we're actually going to kind of go a little bit further than these 5, but the 5 pieces of information that we need to create a box plot are going to be our median, our min, our max, our quartile 1, or where 25% of the data falls, quartile 3, and from this we're actually going to use we're going to calculate. So these are the 5 points that we're going to find important, but then we also want to find out if we have any what are considered outliers, and these are going to be those sets of data that kind of throw off um, our um, our information. Okay, so what we could do is I'm actually just going to use all the formulas. We could actually run, if we were to look at this at a population, we could find these 3 by doing our data analysis, but I'm just going to use the and actually we'll use profits just because we used age in the previous video. So I want median and I want the median profit, so I'm just going to highlight our data and I'm going to go to the profit and I'm going to hit enter. I need our min, so I'm going to do equals min and highlight our data. I'm going to go to our max and I'm going to highlight our data. You're going to get annoyed with me saying highlight our data. So I'm going to highlight that data, hit enter. And for quartile 1, once again, because it's a quartile, I can use the percentile and do 25th percentile, but because it's quartile, I'm going to use quartile exclusive. I'm going to highlight this and it will report, well, I guess I have to come back up here and hit the comma and do 1 because I want the first quartile. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. And technically, I could copy that and then just change that to the 3rd quartile, but what I'm going to do just for practice sake so you guys can see, I'm going to do quartile exclusive, highlight the data, comma, 3rd, because it's 3rd quartile. And here we have our 3rd quartile. So these 5 are we're actually going to plot these points into a graph, and what we're going to do is we're going to kind of see what this graph or what this box plot looks like. But before we do so, we want to know if we have any outliers. So let me just explain. I'm actually going to bump this down. So an outlier is considered this. An outlier is considered any piece of data that is 1.5 times the inner quartile range. I know that may not mean anything to you, but we're gonna walk through this. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out what is our inner quartile range, and I'm going to take it in steps. You can do this all in one, but I'm just going to kind of take it in steps. So inner quartile range. Okay. And what that represents is, well, actually, I guess I should do it there here, inner quartile range. So the first thing we want to know is what is our inner quartile? So what that means is what is the middle 25%? So that middle 25% is represented by finding the difference, or I guess I should say inner quartile is the middle 50%. So what I'm going to do is to find the inner quartile range, I'm actually going to take quartile 3 and subtract from that quartile 1. And I'll show you this in the graph to help it make a little bit more sense. But so I have my inner quartile range. So the difference between my quartile 3 and my quartile 1 is 860, and in this case, dollars, right? But what we said, our outliers are considered anything that is 1.5 times the inner quartile range. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take that and I'm going to hit equals the inner quartile range times 1.5, and I have 1,290. Okay, so an outlier is what we're going to do is we're going to find outliers to the left of our curve or of our box plot and to the right. Okay, now to the left and to the right of what? So what that means is I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to say to the left, or to the negative side, going to the left, are outliers. Oh, I guess I can't do that. I guess I should just say, um, I'll just do outlier. Um, so our outlier to the left is going to be equal to our quartile 1 minus our 1.5, our interquartile range. So if we have any profits that are less than 125.5, we consider that an outlier. Now looking here, we have a min value of 124. So that is, we do not have outliers to the left of our data. To the right side, we're going to take our quartile 3 and we're going to add to it that 1290. And we have $3,565.50. Now, once again, I can look at my max value and see that our maximum profit is 3,292, and an outlier would be something that's greater than this, so we do not have any outliers. I will show you what happens when outliers exist, but for right now, we're going to just kind of draw this. So we have all of our information. So what I'm going to do is, once again, I'm going to kind of pull this up, and we have all of our information. So what a box plot looks like, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my minimum value, my maximum value. So we have 294 and we have 3,292. I apologize for the writing here, but now our median is our center point, so that's going to be perfectly in the center, and that is $1,883. Our quartile 1 is 1,400, so that's about $400 to the left. So we have our quartile 1, which once again is represented by the 1415.5. We have quartile 3, which is 2,275.5, which is considered, let's see here, 1883, so that's about 400 as well. So we're actually pretty even in the sense of our spread of our data of what it looks like. We're actually pretty symmetrical here. Okay. Now the interquartile range, once again, is the distance from here to here, quartile 3 to quartile 1. So if you think about it, this is representing 25%. Quartile 3 represents 75%. So the interquartile range represents the middle 50%. And we said the interquartile range is 860. That's the value from here to here. These aren't part of a box plot, the numbers that I'm drawing in here. This is just for your kind of understanding. And then what we said is anything that's considered our outliers, so is 1.5 times the interquartile range, which is 1,290. So what we did was we took the quartile 3 and we added 1,290 to it, and we found that our outliers would be considered anything beyond $3,565.50, which we do not have. Obviously, our maximum value is here, our outliers are here, so we don't have any values that go beyond that. To the left, very similar scenario, our outliers would be anything that considered less than 125.5. So once again, how we did that was we took our 1,290, our 1.5 times the interquartile range, and we subtracted it from quartile 1, and we got 125.5. So any outliers at that point, anything less than that would be considered outliers. Once again, outliers are those extreme cases that mess with our data. Now, if we did have an outlier, and then we just, just throw a wrench in our problem here. Let's say that we did have a profit of, let's say, $4,000. in one of the sales. So obviously our outlier to the left, anything greater than $3,565.50 is considered an outlier. So how that's represented is we would actually go to that point. So we say 4,000. Let's say this is 4,000 profits. And what we would do is we'd actually go to that 4,000 and put an asterisk. And that asterisk represents that piece of data or that outlier that exists. If we had another one that was, 4,200, we would just have another asterisk. If we had one with a profit of, let's say, $50, we would represent it with an asterisk, okay, at that location at 50. So these are the key pieces to a box plot, and to be 100% honest, what it should look like, it won't have this, it won't have that, but it will have this other information. So this is considered a box plot. And that's it. So the pieces of information you need, once again, you'll need your median, you'll need your min, max, quartile 1, quartile 3, interquartile range, which is the difference between quartile 3 and quartile 1, outliers, which are 1.5 times the interquartile range, and then to find the specific location of those outliers, we go to the minimum value and subtract 1,290, which gives us an outlier at 125.50, and on the other end we take the max value, and actually I think we were way off with that. Oh no, sorry, quartile 1, my fault. Not the min value, but quartile 1, we would subtract 1,290 from. And then for the outliers for the right side, we would take quartile 3 and we would add to it 1,290 to get that 3,294. Or sorry, 3,565.5. Okay. Any questions with that? Please let me know. But these are the key pieces of information. Thank you.